Hello and welcome to this rapid fire quick start on how to create a custom factual expert LLM with Augment Toolkit. So we're going to be doing this from absolute scratch. The first thing we're going to do is open up web browser and clone Augment Toolkit using Git. Um, the fastest way to find it is just look up Augment Toolkit. You'll find the first result. Um, Code, copy this thing. Um, I'm assuming you know how the terminal works. If you don't, just type in terminal on Mac and you should be able to open it. Um, just a handy way of using a computer. So we're going to go git clone and then clone augment toolkit. Um, now, mind you, when I am recording this, I still am using the private development version, so I'm just going to quickly go and copy that over instead. See, I have to use the private development, still in development version, which has all the stuff that you'll have, but I'm in the past, so I don't have that in the public repo right now. There we go. Now we have Augment Toolkit. We're going to go into Augment Toolkit. That is cd Augment Toolkit, like that. And we're going to run the start script. Run the start script for your operating system. There's Linux, Mac, and Windows. On Linux and Mac, the thing you type is bash macOS.sh. This will go and open up the Augment Toolkit interface. This quick start uses the interface, not the CLI, and it will open this up. The interface hopefully tells you to go over to configs, which we will now do. Here we have a bunch of different configs for a bunch of different pipelines. Where this quick start shows you the method that uses APIs. If you want to do everything on your computer and you have a powerful computer, use this instead, local data gen. But we're going to be starting with start here, complete factual. Double click to open. And our task now is simply to fill in all the placeholders that are hopefully indicated to us. And this will set us up to make our first custom LLM, which will be an expert on some of the US Army field manuals, which have been chosen for these reasons. No, these reasons. So let's go quickly fill in these placeholders. We need a runpod API key, a weights and biases API key, Hugging Face token, a deep infer API key, and a hub model, a Hugging Face username. Mind you, if you're doing this locally, you won't need most of these, but we're not doing it locally in this quick start, so we're going to go and start filling these in. First thing is first, run pod. You go look up run pod and you ignore the ads by their competitors and you go click on run pod. I already have an account, but if you don't, obviously sign up. You go log in my case. Um, as you can see, I spend way too much money on this. The way to get your API key is settings under account. They change the interface frequently, but this mostly remains the same. Settings, API keys, create an API key, all permissions, give it some name, create it, copy it there, and paste. Oh, paste. Things also save if you exit this, as you can see. Paste. So once it's pasted, now we need a Hugging Face token, which we get by going to Hugging Face, which is essentially GitHub but for LLMs. So the way to get this, click on your circle face up here, settings, and no, not settings, actually, it is access tokens. We'll ask for your password if you haven't done this recently, create new token, and give it the right permissions, and then give it some name. Once it has some name, then you create the token, copy it, and paste it. And Command S to save. Weights and biases is next. So the Hugging Face we need. So okay, why do we need each of these? Run pod lets us train the model on the cloud. This is a GPU rental service. Hugging Face lets us push the model to the cloud when it is done saving, so that we have it saved. And weights and biases lets us look at nice graphs that tell us how our model has trained. So going to weights and biases, you can see, for instance, test project looks like. So it looks like this. You have nice graphs that show number go down, which is good. Good when the number goes down, unless you're doing reinforcement learning. So the path is 1BAI/authorize. Go to authorize, copy your key, and paste it in here. This is just warning us about disk space before you kick off your training. You can do this after you kick off your training, but make certain you have about 22 gigabytes of free disk space, or else turn these off because when the script goes to automatically download the model, um, if you don't have enough for the weights of the model, then you'll run out of space. Next thing to do is a deep info API key and Hugging Face username. The Hugging Face username is so that we can, well, push to our account. So my Hugging Face username is Heralax, so I will put that here in both places, the pre-training and the fine-tuning. And then after that, we need to fill in a deep infra API key. Deep infra is a wonderful service that lets us do get like cheap inference with all the open source models, and it's very good. It gives you high rate limits and everything. So we are going to go dashboard, API keys, new API key, give it some name, generate it, copy it, and paste it. Now, pasting it in all these different places might be a chore. Thankfully, there is a find replace, and if you're on Mac, you can also do Command Shift L, and then that will give you a number of different cursors, like you type in multiple places once. So then you can Command Shift L and then paste, and then you save it in all the places. Once you see no placeholders up here, you're pretty much fine. Then we can run the pipeline. This will take a couple of hours, possibly quite a few hours, less than a day. Just let it run and maybe set this up so that it runs overnight. Um, the processor will do everything from data set generation to renting GPUs to training the model on those GPUs to downloading it off the cloud to converting it for inference to running it for inference, and then we can go over to that chat window up there and interact with the model that we train. But this is a real set it and forget it process. I'll cut the video here and come back when this finishes. Welcome back to the Augment Toolkit Quick Start. As you can see by this wonderful 100% progress bar, that's all kinds of particle effects and such. We are finished. The model is finished training. So we can go chat with our model. Um, you can tell we can chat with the model because the chat button is pulsing. It does that when there is a server available. One thing I will quickly note before we go and chat, because this is a question that will probably be in your mind if you're watching this before following along with it. How much does this cost? So the data generation, if you are not doing it locally, will probably cost between 20 and 40 bucks. And the model training will probably cost between 20 and 30, maybe around 10 or 15. So between 10 and $30. Yeah, that's simply it. If you want to do local data generation, you can use this config here, which does default to using the examples facts. This will probably take much longer if you have like poor hardware. The data generation model it uses is a 7B, so it should run on most things. But remember, we had to generate a decent amount of data for this, um, so it could take a second. But if you were happy sacrificing time to save money, you can use this instead. And then the training costs are much smaller. But let's get on with testing our model because that's what we are here to do. We want to see the fruits of our labor. So let's test it about looking at the documents we trained it on. That was FM105. So what is the point of training on things? Well, it gives the model a good big picture understanding and reliability. So let's ask a big picture question. What is FM105? That's as big picture as you can get. What is this thing? We are using the non-reg server by default. If you want to use a reg server, you can use a reg server. Just set, what's the parameter name? Set the server type to normal here. Anyway, we got answer back. This might take a second longer depending on the hardware. Also takes longer on the first message compared to the ones after that because it has to warm up. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Using it, asking for the definition of FM105, which is a field manual, recall things, blah. Yes, we have thought processes by default, but that can be changed. The model supports both thought process and not thought process stuff. You can just prompt it differently. Um, if you don't want that, just add on this because 20% of the messages do not have thoughts. So add that bit of the prompt there, and then you'll be happy if you don't want that. But yeah, let's check this answer. So FM 105 is Army's religious support manual. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Quick interruption because I realized that I did not indicate how to run this model subsequently. So like you've done your training and it's succeeded and now it's opened up in the chat thing. Great. We don't want to run the data generation thing a second time if we want to chat with it again. So how do we do that? Well, there's reg server and there is basic server. To fill any of these out, you just give the prompt path, the template path, and the model path. Prompt path is the thing you see um, in your output directory. You'll see a file called prompt.txt. Let's give a path to that. Template.txt, same thing. And the GGUF model path that will be in models, and then the thing you trained, and give a path to the model that ends the file that ends with GGUF. Probably will be about 7.7 gigabytes. So paths to those, and then hit run, and then that will open the model up in the chat window, same as you see in the rest of the quick start. That skips all the training stuff. That just does the inference bit. And that's all for this intermission. I will get back to the rest of the video now. So this model has no reg, and yet here it is, recalling facts from its memory and producing a good big picture answer to a factual question. And this is in a 7B. So you don't need a ton of parameters even to cram factual knowledge into a model's brain. And so that is the power of Augment Toolkit. Whether you want this to create a subject matter expert, whether you want this to serve as the core of an informational product, or not even just informational. Whether you want to use this to control and align the outputs of a model that you're using in production to make it better and run it for cheaper, or you're using this to make an AI about an area you're really passionate about personally, and you want to have an AI partner that shares your understanding and understands the things that you've read as well. Or you're using this for some other use case. You're simply curious about the evolving field of open source custom LLMs. Um, Whatever you're using this for, I hope you make good use of it. I hope that this quick start tutorial was useful. I hope that if you have any more questions, you go check the Discord and ask them there or ask them on the GitHub issues page. Um, I hope that the other help videos, if you decide to check those out, are useful. And if you make a model with Augment Toolkit, I encourage you to share it on the Discord, if it's something that you're open sourcing. If you're using it in production, then of course use it in production and sell it to people. But if you're open sourcing it, please do share it with the community. That'd be really cool to see all the stuff you're building with this. And um, yeah, I hope that you get a good usage out of Augment Toolkit. I don't want to bloat the runtime of this video, so I'll sign off here. I hope to uh, good luck and have fun making custom LLMs. Have a good one.